This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly whirring, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't. And this happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend anywhere from, 15 minutes to maybe this can be up to like 45 minutes with us.
Yeah.
And then an actual proper both is usually an hour and a half. So those times with us.
We get a tad verbose now and then,
A little bit.
Yeah.
So this is something that I thought would be very interesting. Even though you can't see the guitar, I will show you this information, but even though you can't see these guitars, I wanted to talk about them. So today we're talking about, obviously, guitars, but the 15 most expensive guitars sold at auction.
These would be, I would be thinking, some of these are interesting pieces that have some history. So, yes, very interesting.
Yes. So here's one I will show you. Beautiful.
Oh.
Super gorgeous, matte black, super sexy. Obviously, there's a lot of wear on it, right? So,
yeah. But it's not like grotesque like some of those deliberately road-worn things. It's actually beautiful.
So whose guitar is that, do you think?
I didn't see the headstock, but it looks like a Stratocaster, and it's gorgeous. And that matte black, I can't think of anyone I associate that with.
Think of amazing guitarists, just like world-class amazing guitarists.
You know who I can picture playing that Strat is David Gilmour.
That's exactly
yes,
correct.
There you go.
David Gilmour. It's his famous black Strat and needs no introduction, purchased at auction for how much do you think in 2019?
And it probably is one of those, he played it on Dark Side of the Moon kind of things, and people will pay insane for that, I'm going to go with $300,000.
$3.9 million.
Wow. It's a guitar, man.
At the time, the guitar was the most expensive ever sold.
Wow.
So let's keep.
I mean, something has outpaced that. That would be interesting there. But
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I can't believe it didn't jump to my mind originally because, of course, you always picture him with a Strat if it's an electric for the most part. And that's right, the black. The black was his, yeah.
Absolutely. So what price for a piece of bona fide rock and roll history? Well, if that piece happens to be an iconic guitar used by an equally iconic guitar player, then the last few decades have demonstrated that the price is an awful lot. So let's take a look at more. So the 2024 auction of Mark Knopfler's guitars at Christie's saw it smash every estimate. But despite that, the most iconic item of the day was a 1983 Gibson Les Paul Standard that Dire Straits legend used to write the record.
I'm supposed to name the record?
Yes.
Okay. So he wrote this record on a Les Paul, and 83 or 80?
1983.
83 Les Paul, and...
Two records.
Oh, two. Okay. So am I supposed to guess the two records?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Dire Straits, come on.
Well, all right, I'm going to go with low-hanging fruit of them all, Sultans of Swing.
Nope.
Oops. See, I screwed up already. And, of course, Money for Nothing is definitely a possibility.
Yes, that's there.
Yep.
And what's the second one?
For some reason, I feel like going obscure and saying Industrial Disease.
No, sir. Brother in Arms.
Ah.
So it smashed its $19,000 estimate, selling for, what do you think?
Well, if the estimate was 19, I could see it selling up to $32,000.
$753,231.
Wow, so I was close then. Okay.
It wasn't enough to make it into our list. In fact, at the time, it wasn't the biggest seller of the day. The biggest seller was a burst Knopfler bought in 1999, selling for a massive $880,186.
Wow.
Everybody clearly wants to own a piece of rock and roll history, right?
Yeah, I'm expecting something to pop up on this list, too.
Are you?
I am indeed.
All right. Well, that's interesting. So we shall see if that happens. Another iconic instrument is Bob Dylan's Newport Folk Festival Strat.
And that's the one, yeah.
The guitar used when the folk messiah,
Thank God he went electric, man.
turned Judas
Yeah.
with an electric band on the 25th of July, 1965. In 2013, what do you think that Strat sold for?
I saw a television show about this. I don't remember the numbers, but I did watch a show about this and how they authenticated it. And it was, I knew that had to be on there. Thank God he went electric. I listened to Blonde on Blonde a week or two ago, and I thought, thank God he went electric. Yeah, I saw a show about that, and I think it went for an awful lot. I think it might have been $800,000.
$965,000.
Yeah, it really wasn't that far off this
No.
time. Okay.
It was purchased by Indianapolis Colts owner and guitar collector Jim Irsay, and now forms part of the Jim Irsay Collection, a traveling museum of pop culture memorabilia that tours the U.S.
Nice.
Also in Irsay's collection is David Gilmour's Martin D35, the guitar which appeared on...
Oh, I'm going to go with Wish You Were Here.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Yep.
Which had the dubious distinction of being the first $1 million guitar.
Wow.
Another guitar was Rory Gallagher's iconic 1962 Stratocaster, which lasted 3 months on the list before it was unseated by another one that was really, really expensive. Let's take a look at Kirk Hammett.
Oh.
Kirk Hammett paid how much for Greenie, the 1959 Les Paul previously owned by Peter Green and Gary Moore? What do you think Kirk paid for that?
I had heard that he had gotten that, and Kirk's got some interesting guitars. He's got these Universal Monster guitars. I mean, it's really good stuff. But he's a guitar lover for sure. How much did he pay for that? I don't remember. I'm going to go with something extravagant like for a guitar. It's hard to believe we're $1.9 million.
Very close, $2 million.
Nice. Wow.
The late Microsoft founder Paul Allen paid what for the 1993 Hendrix Woodstock Strat? What do you think he paid? I mean, it's Hendrix's
The 1993?
Strat. Back in 1993.
Oh, back in
he paid
1993 for Hendrix's Strat.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say Hendrix wasn't playing guitar in 1993.
No, he was not.
That sounds like one that people would just totally go bonkers over. So I'm going to go with $3 million.
$1.3 million.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it's just
I was
a rumor.
thinking they went up incrementally. You know?
It's a rumor. They don't really know. But
Yeah.
So what about Jeff Beck's Anushka Fender Stratocaster? What do you think that went for? And there he is playing it. There he is. Beautiful white, lovely, very nice pickguard. Very, very nice.
But I mean, at the end of the day, Stratocaster. I'm going to go with Jeff Beck. That means a lot to a lot of people.
I love Jeff Beck.
I mean, I do too. But hey, let me see. I'm going to go with $650,000.
$1.2 million.
Damn.
And then the next one is George Harrison's Futurama electric guitar. It is probably the most humble. It might also be the most important because on the 20th of November, 1959, a young George Harrison bought the Futurama for just €59 and used it throughout the Beatles' formative years, both playing at Liverpool's Cavern Club and into their hugely important Hamburg period.
Wow. Yeah, that probably went for a pretty penny. When I think of Harrison, the first thing that comes to mind is that, for some reason, it's that beautiful Telecaster he plays on the rooftop. I love that thing so much.
Oh, yeah.
That probably, whoever's got that probably paid a lot for it.
How much do you think?
For that is real history right there. For those, I mean, if you value that thing, that's high. That's got to be, I'm going to do $2.2 million.
$1 million.
Ah.
It was expected, I apologize, to hit 800K, and it hit 1 million, which was the first at that time to hit $1 million.
That's a hell of a lot for considering what it is. It is a guitar, after all. You know?
And what about Eric Clapton's full 1964 Gibson SG? And there it is.
Yeah, I know the Fool. For some reason, I thought it really didn't change hands much.
He played this, obviously, during the Cream era. The Fool is celebrated as an enduring symbol of the psychedelic era in music. The 1964 Gibson SG earned its name from the Dutch art collective that gave it its striking finish.
Yeah, it's a legendary.
Sunshine of Your Love, White Room, I Feel Free.
I'm so surprised because when the subject came up, the Dylan one, Newport Folk Festival, came to mind immediately. I should have thought of The Fool also, because that's another one. Everybody knows The Fool.
So what do we think?
Everybody plays The Fool, too. What do we think? I'm going to go with $3.1 million.
$1,270,000.
Well, thank goodness I was wrong.
And then what about Elvis Presley's Sun Sessions 1942 Martin D18?
Wow.
And there it is.
Oh.
And there he is holding it.
Okay. Man, that's going to be...
Pretty penny?
That's going to be $1.3 million.
1.3 million.
Get the hell out of here. No way. I guess eventually I'd get one.
The King played many guitars over his illustrious career, but perhaps none is more important or iconic than the Martin D18 he used between 1954 and 1956 when he recorded That's All Right Mama, Blue Moon of Kentucky, and Good Rockin' Tonight. So they thought it was going to go for $3 million, but in the end it sold for $1.3 million. So what about Jeff Beck's 1954 Oxblood Les Paul?
Jeff Beck again.
He's a goat, man. Come on.
$800,000.
Jeff Beck got his first Oxblood 1954 Les Paul when he was on tour with Beck, Bogert, and Appice in late 1972. So very interesting, but that went for...
I didn't guess this one. Beck again. Let me get $600,000.
$1,329,000.
Damn.
Kurt Cobain's Sky Stang 1 1993 Fender Mustang, and there it is. Beautiful pickguard, lovely.
Don't love the body, but I do love that pickguard so much. Let me go with the Jaguar Mustang. I just never got into those,
Not the most iconic Kurt Cobain guitar, but this custom-ordered Mustang was Kurt's primary instrument on their final In Utero tour.
And that, of course.
Heavily used for Nirvana's final show on March 1st, 1994 in Munich.
Oh, yeah, that of course makes all the difference. I'm going to go with somebody just flipped their shit and spent $2.1 million on it.
$1,587,000.
Wow. Terrible. Incredible.
So it says here, the guitar was created for Kurt by Fender Japan luthier Scott Zimmerman in 1993. So it was custom because the shop didn't make lefty necks in those days. So it's interesting.
Oh, he's a lefty? Mm-hmm. Why did I forget that? I always remember that, but...
I don't know. So, number 9, David Gilmour's 1954 Fender Stratocaster. So, Pink Floyd man's second most iconic Strat is one steeped in the most controversy. For years, people assumed that the serial number 0001 meant that it was the first ever Strat. Instead, it turns out that 0100 was actually the first, but it's still one of the first pre-production Strat prototypes ever made.
Wow.
And the fact that the guitar is also laying down the rhythm parts on Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, only further adds to its legend.
Wow. That's probably $1.50, $1.5 million.
$1.8 million.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Yeah, you're figuring it out.
Getting a handle on the madness.
Jerry Garcia's Wolf guitar. Another completely unique creation for the Grateful Dead man, courtesy of Doug Irwin. The Wolf is perhaps even more eccentric than the Tiger, with a body made of ultra-strong purple heart, capped back and front with book-matched maple.
Wow.
The guitar also features an innovative plate system for mounting the pickups, which allowed Garcia to swap them for the original SSS configuration to the HHS it currently sports. And it was auctioned in 2017 with the proceeds benefiting the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Uh-huh.
So what did that go for?
I'm going to go lower on this one, $750,000.
$1.9 million.
Wow.
So what about John Lennon's 1962 Gibson J160E?
Oh.
With its electric-like volume and tone knobs and the pull pieces of a P90 pickup rather artlessly sticking through the top between the neck and sound hole, the J160E wasn't Gibson's most elegant design, but it was the perfect instrument for young songwriters craving amplification in the early 60s, including a couple cats named John Lennon and George Harrison. And this particular J160E can be heard on Love Me Do.
early Beatles, awesome. Let me see.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Here it is.
Okay.
So what do you think that went
Electric
for?
acoustic, very nice. Because honestly, it didn't ring. The model name number, did not click with me. I mean, but acoustic electric, very cool. Storied, iconic history. I'm gonna say 2.6 million.
2.4 million.
Wow. Gee.
What about?
Get scary good at this.
What about reach out to Asia Fender Stratocaster? So here it is. I'll tell you more about this in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Something of a curio on this list. This guitar isn't an iconic artist instrument at all, but rather a stock Mexican-made white Fender Stratocaster that just happens to have been signed by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Eric Clapton, Brian May, Jimmy Page, David Gilmour, Jeff Beck, Pete Townsend, Mark Knopfler, Ray Davies, Liam Gallagher, Ronnie Wood, Tony Iommi, Angus, and Malcolm Young, Paul McCartney, Sting, Ritchie Blackmore, Def Leppard, and organizer Bryan Adams.
They don't think they missed anybody, pretty much.
It
no,
was
but that's
auctioned
that's
off to help the victims of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami.
Oh. Okay. That signatures, it might not have the history, but I mean, because obviously all those people couldn't have played it. But the fact that they all signed it and it's tied to such a historic event, and I'm gonna say the fact that it's charity, people are gonna pay more just because 4.1 million.
2.7 million.
Oh, okay. Good.
What about
It was crazy what I was saying.
John Lennon's Framus Hootenanny 12-string?
Oh.
So here it is.
I was expecting the casino to pop up on there, but 12-string.
The guitar that was famously used on Help and its accompanying album was thought lost to the sands of time for decades until it was found by the new owners of a house in the British countryside when they were cleaning out the attic.
Wow.
The guitar was given to Scottish guitarist Gordon Weller, half of the pop duo Peter and Gordon.
Yeah, Peter and Gordon.
And then later handed over to one of his road managers, but the guitar hadn't been seen in public for over 50 years.
Wow.
So it can be seen used by Lennon in Help the Movie and during the performance of You've Got to Hide Your Love Away.
Oh, yes.
It was also used by Lennon to record It's Only Love, I've Just Seen a Face, and Girl, and by George Harrison for the rhythm track of Norwegian Wood. It was auctioned in May 2024, and there was speculation that the guitar might end up becoming the most expensive guitar sold at auction, but in the end, it was just sold for being the most expensive Beatles instrument ever, eclipsing Lennon's J160E.
Did we do that one and I'm supposed to remember?
Yeah.
Shit.
We harken back.
I was afraid of that. Yeah. Okay, what did the Lennon one go for? Because this has to be more. Okay.
What do you think?
I remember I thought it was not as insane as I speculated it might be. I'm going to say 1.4 million.
$2,857,000.
Damn.
Eddie Van Halen's Hot for Teacher Kramer.
Oh, Lord.
You know what that is, right?
I should have thought
Hot
of that.
for Teacher Kramer.
Yep.
Eddie Van Halen's guitar designs have almost become as iconic as the man himself, but most of his iconic gear still treasured by his family. It's rare for a bona fide EVH guitar to make it onto the open market. So there was huge interest in this. What do you think that sold for?
Wow. I picture people going even more bananas on this one. Maybe 1.9 million.
3.9 million.
Okay.
Wow. Wowzers. So we have David Gilmour. As you know, we talked about his Strat, so we're going to just move on because we already talked about that, but amazing. Maybe some gearheads will want to hear this. The Black Strat is David Gilmour's most iconic guitar, and it's also been heavily modified over the years. Bought from Manny's Music in New York, this 1968 model was originally sunburst, but it had been refinished in black by the time Gilmour bought it in 1970. So it was sunburst. Interesting. It originally had a maple neck with a late 60s big headstock, but throughout the 70s, Gilmour frequently swapped between two 50s necks one with rosewood and maple. That wasn't the end. Over the decades since, the pickups, tuners, pots, trem, and scratch plate have all been swapped. And in fact, it's now estimated that the only original parts of the guitar remaining are the body, selector switch, and maybe the bridge plate.
Yeah, so it's basically not the same guitar at all.
It's a Frankenstein guitar. Yeah. What about Kurt Cobain's Smells Like Teen Spirit Fender Mustang?
Oh.
What does the most iconic moment in guitar history cost? That's the question.
Those, of course, are not your words, but I mean, it was certainly one of them. I mean, it was certainly a big deal. Yeah.
It's not an exaggeration to say that the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video changed the world, and in it, Kurt Cobain is playing a rather fetching but typically unconventional lefty Lake Placid blue Mustang with a competition strip, 1.5 billion YouTuber views, and countless hours of MTV airtime later. So what do you think it cost? And let me show it to you. It's kind of pretty.
Well, I mean, I of course everybody knows what it looks like, but I'll always look at a guitar. You know, it's like, I mean, anytime.
So yeah,
I'm
what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Cobain. I mean, it Smells Like Teen Spirit, especially that moment. You know, I'm gonna go with 3.4 million.
4.5 million.
Damn.
So finally, Kurt Cobain's Martin D18E. If there's one Kurt Cobain guitar moment that's become even more iconic than Smells Like Teen Spirit video, it's Nirvana's incredible bittersweet performance on MTV Unplugged. Still one of the best unplugs ever.
It was an excellent unplugged, no doubt.
Kurt bought the D18E in 1992 at Voltage Guitars in Los Angeles, and it's a rare bird for Martin guitars in that it came out of the factory with the D Armand pickups, but Kurt disliked their sound and had it modded with a Bartolini 3AV soundhole pickup.
That's a nicer pickup, eh?
Yeah. So, what do you think that went for? By the way, it was left to Kurt's daughter, Frances Bean, and ended up with her ex-husband's Isaiah Silva as part of their divorce. How much does that suck?
Oh, my goodness.
So then he sold it for how much money?
Oh, the divorced guy? Yeah, okay. Holy shit. I'm going to go with Frances's ex-hubby. Okay, got it. That's pretty big. That's 2.7 million.
6 million.
Fucking A.
6 million. That is the most expensive guitar ever sold.
I'm sorry. That's incredible. Yeah.
So that's really it. So I want to thank guitar.com for that. Obviously, it sounds like I know a lot about guitars, but no, that's all guitar.com. But at least now we know more about these 15 most expensive guitars sold at auction by some people that we'd expect maybe some surprises. Maybe. I didn't find any really surprising because we had, Jeff Beck, David Gilmour, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, right? The people you'd imagine, Kurt Cobain, Jerry Garcia, that one I know people love. I can't. Grateful Dead, I'm out. So, but all the Lennon stuff, I don't know.
And some of the bands that you might, for big bands that come to mind, is like, well, yeah, Queen, but the Red Special ain't going nowhere, of course. So, and how about Zeppelin? What? He's still got all his guitars, Jimmy Page. And how about no, nobody? People just don't.
We're not
do
there.
That.
We're not there yet.
The Who? I mean, how many of his guitars survived to be even sold?
And who cares? Yeah. Anyway.
I opened that up for her.
Anyway, hopefully you found that fun. I know that, you're into guitars, and most of the people that listen to this may be into guitars as well. And it's always interesting to know what sold. I mean, I think that before I looked at this, I would have thought the Beatles would have been number one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
I would not have thought Kurt Cobain.
I would not have. I would have thought it would have been on the list, but not have been the top of the list. And I think 2 or 3 guitars on this list. I was surprised by Jerry Garcia. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was. I was a little surprised by Clapton. I know he's a GOAT, but I also know that pretty much everybody else on this list is a better guitarist than he is. So anyway, except and maybe not Lennon. Lennon is not was not a better guitarist than Eric Clapton. But I'm just saying you've got Jeff Beck. Oh, no, okay, there's not. So you have Jeff Beck, who is definitely right up there. David Gilmour, I mean, I can't even talk about it. So I'm just saying, Jerry Garcia, I don't know.
You like noodling. You like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he was good, but I mean,
I don't know.
I can only get so I do like some Grateful Dead, but I can only get so
I don't.
enthused. Only get so.
I like nothing.
Yeah.
I've tried. I'm like, I can't. Anyway, hopefully that was kind of fun. I thought it was interesting and fun, and I was excited when I found it. So anyway, the honors go to Kurt Cobain, and that just leaves for you to say,
let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It, a presentation of Birds of a Feather on What the Flock Radio.